Okay, so today's piece is by this Japanese composer Nobuyoshi Tanaka, and it's called Concertino. It's for piano, Vocaloid, and electronics, and it was written in 2015. So there is a text component to it, which the Vocaloid is singing. If you don't know what a Vocaloid is, think like Hatsune Miku, um, sort of like that electronic singing voice, which has sort of become commodified in Japan. I should also say this is the last episode of the piano series. This is a series that has gone on for over 100 episodes, I think. Definitely over 100, maybe closer to 200. Uh, and yeah, I guess at the end of this episode, I'll say a little bit about how I feel in retrospect. I mean, it's taken me the better part of a year to do it, so um, it's kind of hard to even conceive of it altogether. But uh, yeah, I'll try to do that. And also, this is a new composer on the channel, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about Tanaka, whom I know very little, of whom I know very little. The score is freely available, I believe, on his website. And for the most part, it is laid out like piano is given a grand staff, and then there's two smaller staves, one for percussion elements and one for the Vocaloid. I don't know how much of the electronics are indicated in those staves, but probably enough to give you a sense of where things stop and start. There's also a moment here where there's a tone cluster in the center of the piano, and I really like the way it looks. You can see that in the Vocaloid part, there's a lot of kanji, um, which I can't read, but that's the text. I think the first things you hear though are in English. So the Vocaloid starts by singing, "We want music from your fingers on the piano." Okay, here is Tanaka's website. Uh, Nobuyoshi Nobuyoshi Tanaka is a Japanese composer born in 1969. Born in Hokkaido, did not learn music through a professional education. Self-taught composer. He publishes his music on the internet. And then two performances of note here. In 2011, Tadashi Maeda premiered his violin piece Genesis of Time in Ecuador. And is that a solo violin piece? I guess it's solo violin. Then also, uh, his piece Siren for violin solo was premiered by the same performer, Tadashi, in 2012. He has two other violin pieces, Cygnus and Draco, which were premiered by Daniele Colombo in Italy. Um, and that's all he chooses to say here. If you look at his sheet music, though, there's a ton of other pieces for other instrumentations: solo piano, solo clarinet, solo violin, um, some chamber orchestra almost, and a piece for violin and piano, a piece for flute and piano. And then I guess there's this piece too, which I can't really see on his website. Yeah, this is also his website, but it's more focused on his pieces. So here you can find info on and links to recordings of different pieces of his. Let's see, here we have some stuff with electronics, so soprano piano and electronics, flute and electronics, uh, baritone and electronics, violin and electronics, and I'm assuming this is where I grabbed this piece. I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. Uh, he has an IMSLP, Concertino is not on here, but we have a bunch of other pieces like those aforementioned solo violin pieces. So who knows? Maybe if I do a solo violin series, I'll actually get into some of these. Recording is in the video description. There's a couple recordings of this piece. One of them I was looking at yesterday is like has like visuals. It's like a multimedia version that the composer prepared himself. But the version I'm sharing is actually gives you more of a sense of like a traditional performance of it. It's just like the pianist and fixed media. So no info here on how to start the fixed media or how any of it works. I'm assuming it's just done with a click track. Um, so yeah, excited to get into this one. Okay. Yeah, this is a great piece to end the series on because it is totally different from everything else we've been listening to. And that's been kind of a theme here. The repertoire for piano is so diverse. It's really crazy. Um, okay, my thoughts on this piece. Actually, first I want to say Vicky Ray does a great job with this. I actually saw Vicky Ray perform a solo recital at the Splice Institute. I can't remember if it was in 2022 or 2023, but she played some really challenging rep for me as a listener, and she has like impeccable, like really good taste in contemporary music, I think, um, or at least like taste that is like she has a taste in music that is very personal and strong, and that is very hard to come by with performers. So yeah, I'm a big fan of her playing, and I'm not surprised that she premiered this piece, or at least found it. No, it was the world premiere. Yeah. So she premiered this piece in Los Angeles in 2018, 3 years after it was composed. Yeah, really interesting use of like Vocaloid, obviously, but also electronic drums. I think the I think that Vicky was able to coordinate with it just listening to the electronic part. So that's one of the advantages of having a very percussive part. You can really get the performer to sync up with it. Um, and yeah, it just had this sort of like driving, intense, manic kind of feel to it, which really worked. Um, and the text was not uh, too intrusive. It was like just strange enough to keep you interested, and it was focused on like music making. And I don't like. I'm glad it wasn't trying to harp on any particular idea. It was just kind of like um, effective and atmospheric. I also really like this moment actually where you get the solo voice again after this big introduction, and then you get a single piano line on top of the texture. It's really cool. Um, yeah. Okay. So my thoughts on the piano series. Let me pull up the spreadsheet. So this series was kind of weird because the first 40 episodes or so were almost exclusively piano pieces by Matthew Lee Knowles, this British composer. And I have a ton more scores of his, but a lot of his work isn't very well recorded. So we did about 30 of his, um, and all pieces from like the early 2000, early 2010s and like 2021. Um, that was a interesting exploration. It was like very focused, and it took me a better part of a month just to focus on one composer's output. It was interesting. And then we had a lot of other series like that, right? So a ton of piano pieces by Henry Cowell, for example, Morton Feldman, Sofia Gubaidulina. All of these are scores that I just found online for free, and I guess in at some point in my doctorate, I just like madly downloaded them all, and then I was faced with having to go through them all in this series. And then I had all, of course, all of these other random scores that were more modernist. Um, I think it was a pretty good mix. and it was pretty well spread over the past 100 years. Like there was a lot of stuff in every decade. Um, so it kind of worked. A big through line was like this sort of progression from Henry Cowell to his student John Cage to all the composers inspired by John Cage and Morton Feldman, um, including Matthew Lee Knowles, Lawrence Crane. And then another through line, I guess, was like modernist music, but it sort of culminated in all the episodes I did on Stockhausen's Klavierstück. It didn't really carry forward that far into the 21st century. Yeah, I definitely listened to some things that were out of my comfort zone, pushed me a little bit. I feel like a totally different person after doing this, and for the past month, I've been really obsessed with the idea of putting on piano recitals, just because I've been in this piano zone for so long. And there's just such a variety of repertoire, and much of it is not hard to play at all. The other week, I ordered the collected piano pieces of Howard Skempton, and I started exploring those. I don't know if I'll feature them on the channel, but it's just to say that like I'm now like kind of obsessed with finding interesting piano pieces, and that's going to be something that I think I continue to do long after this series. So I'm already forgetting like, oh yeah, I also did all those George Crumb scores, right? Like there's just so much material that I got through, and pieces ranging from like 40 seconds long to 7 hours long. So yeah, I'm like all the other series, I'm gonna upload some compilation videos. I'm gonna have to split this one into three videos, I think. The orchestra series I had to split into two. This one I think I'm gonna need three. It might be like it's definitely more than 12 hours of content. So um, yeah, it's gonna be the biggest thing on this channel ever. Yeah, again, I feel like I've conditioned my brain to listen to all kinds of different styles of music in quick succession. And I've also trained myself to notice things about scores like names and dates. And in general, I think my music literacy has improved from this series.